Recording. So today we are moving on to chapter 6, which is the next to last chapter of this course. So let's see where I want to start. Go here. So you'll see your link. The multiple choice was due last night. I think everybody got that done. I've posted the lecture videos. We're only doing 3 through 8. Learning objectives 1 and 2 will be covered in ACC 130 if you take it, the business taxes course. So we don't cover those. And then there is the attendance assignment, which I believe is it's a few practice kind of problems as well. And so that is open. So make sure you get that attendance assignment done to be counted as present for class today. So that is, we're going to talk a little bit about chapter 6, some of the high points. It's not as in-depth to me or as much material as chapter 5 was. If you notice under the videos, if you go look at it, I think the whole series of videos takes less than 40 minutes to watch. So definitely shorter than last chapter. In looking at the calendar, so we're covering chapter 6 today. The 6 problems and tax returns should be open for you to work on, and they're due next week. And then next week you'll have the chapters 5 and 6 quiz. It's actually going to open up on Monday and it'll be due on Thursday. So that'll be for chapters 5 and 6, and it'll be similar to the same type of quiz that we took for, we haven't taken one yet. 3 and 4 was in class. So when you take 5 and 6, you'll take it, the window will open on Monday and it'll close on Thursday. And you can take it any time during the window it's open, but once you open it, you have to complete it. You cannot save and exit. So make sure that you're prepared to take the quiz when you open it. And then chapter 7 will be in 2 weeks. And so the 7 multiple choice will be due 7 problems and 7 tax return. I actually already have all of those assignments open for you if you were to choose to work ahead. If it was me, I would wait until I got this quiz done. So I'm not trying to learn new material before I take a quiz. But if you knock this quiz on out, then you can go ahead and get chapter 7 done and you finished up all the new material for this course. So multiple choice and problems and tax return are open. If you do work ahead, there will be attendance assignments to still do on the Thursday dates, like there is today, that open this morning and closes this evening. So you still got to make sure that you get those done on those dates, but you are welcome to work ahead on the chapter 7 stuff. And then on May 7th, we'll talk more about the final exam. Where's my folder for this class? And yeah, I have it down. But there'll be 2 parts to the final exam. There's a final exam tax return and a final exam multiple choice. And both of those will be the same kind of thing. They'll open up in advance for you to work on, and then the submission for the tax return will be due on Wednesday, and the multiple choice is due on Thursday. And just briefly, because it is 2 parts, the tax return counts as 25% of your final, and the multiple choice is 75% of your final. But we'll talk more about that as it gets a little bit closer. But I do want to go ahead and throw that information out there because we are getting close to the end of the semester. Registration has started for summer and fall. Let's see if I can do this. If you go to WebAdvisor, current curriculum students, academics and registration, my registration date and time, will tell you when your registration start date and time is for fall and summer. You see, I start to register next week because I'm going to take a class this summer and this fall as well. But so this is my registration date and time as a student. Yours may be different. So make sure you're looking at that. Your advisors, if you're an accounting major, should be emailing you shortly if they haven't already, telling you about this. If you have any questions, reach out. You can see your advisor. You can email your advisor. Communication. Email my advisors. And then you can just, I don't have one, but it would list an advisor here and you can send an email to your advisor. So we are offering online classes this summer and then getting registered for the fall. So go ahead and make your plans for those. If you have any questions, reach out to your advisor. If you don't know who your advisor is and you're accounting, which I think most of you are, you're welcome to email me and I'll see if I can track down your advisor or answer your question. But do try to get registered. Let's see. What else? The accounting club is having 2 upcoming presentations. I think I added everybody to the virtual accounting club, but go check this out. Next Tuesday at 12, Holly Atkins, who's a CFE, who's a certified fraud examiner, is going to be coming to have some interesting stories to talk about uncovering fraud as a CFE. So that will be in Microsoft Teams. You can just accept the invitation and join the meeting. It will be recorded, but we encourage you to attend live so you can ask questions to her while she's there. And then on the 28th, the following week, Jonathan Krafchick, who is going to be our guest speaker at the event that was going to happen, the accounting, Taste of Accounting, sorry. He is going to be talking about data analytics and technology on the 28th at 12. So definitely come check both of those out. If you are not in class or you have some free time, check these out. There should be some really interesting presenters. And those are in the virtual accounting club. Where am I? So I've done that. There's your video resources. Let's see. When you go take the quiz, it will be under chapter 6. Sorry. Graded assignments. It's right here. So make sure you're looking there for the quiz. The IOC has changed their tutoring hours. So I've updated this flyer here. If you have any questions and need help with any of your accounting classes, the IOC is great. Lucy is great. So this is how you can get up with IOC or the accounting lab, the lab for accounting proficiency with Mike is offered here. So definitely check these out if you have questions on these last 2 chapters. And you'll see, like I said, the chapter 7 folder is up if you should choose to want to work ahead. Show these dates. Yeah. So today is chapter 6. I'm not going to go over anything in depth because you've got those lecture videos to watch, but just to hit the high points again. Oh, I did want to talk about a couple of examples in the book. That's what I said I was going to do. Sorry. Well, I'm getting my book out and I have an ebook. So, chapter 6. So we start out talking about related parties, and make sure that you're understanding that you can own something yourself or constructively through like your spouse. So make sure you're paying attention to these constructive rules here for that. The kiddie tax. The kiddie tax, it goes in and it starts out and tells you how it used to be calculated here, and then it tells you that it's changed. So just understand that the TCJA changed the way the tax is computed. Instead of using the parent rate, you now compute tax using trust and estate tax rates, and those rates are on the unearned income. So in the example, like we'll follow example A through. So step 1, compute taxable income. It's total, both earned and unearned income, less their allowed standard deduction. So in A, Alice is single, child under 18. She has $3,200 of interest. No, let's find what's got earned income. Let's follow B. Boris is under 18. He has $32 of interest income and $5,000 of earned. So he's got unearned and earned income here. His standard deduction is going to be $5,350, and we got that because it's the greater of $1,050 or his earned income plus $350. So his standard deduction is $5,350. So his taxable income total is $2,850. It's the sum of both his unearned and his earned income less his standard deduction. So that's part 1, is computing his taxable income. So his taxable income is $2,850. Then we have to compute net unearned income, which in example B, you see his net unearned income is defined as unearned income less $2,100, because that first $2,100 we're not concerned about. It's that amount over $2,100 that we're worried about for the kiddie tax. So he had unearned income here of $3,200. So his net unearned income is $1,100. His unearned less the $2,100. So he has net unearned income of $1,100. Step 3 is to compute earned taxable income, ETI. His ETI is the $2,850 that we got up here. Let's see if I can color coordinate this. This $2,850 we got in step 1 minus his, let's change this color, $1,100 in step 2. So his ETI is $1,750. So it's step 1 minus step 2 is $1,750. Step 4, calculate the tax. You're going to calculate the tax on 2 different portions. The NUI part is calculated at the trust and estate rates, and then the ETI part is calculated at his applicable tax rate based on his filing status. So his tax, he had $1,100 of NUI from step 2, is going to be taxed at the trust rate, which we see on the previous page. It tells us the trust rate, I believe, on the previous page. Oh, no, not the previous page. Right here. This is your table for trust. So since it's $1,100, it falls in this category, so it's 10%. So 10% of his $1,100, and then the rest, his earned income, is at the single taxpayer rate, 10%. So his total tax is $285. And there's examples A, B, and C to walk through that, but B is kind of a good want to get an understanding because he has interest. They have unearned and earned income. C gets a little more complex because the interest income is higher, so you have to calculate the trust tax using the brackets. And then this is the kiddie tax form that is filed, and you can see how complex it is. So parents can elect, instead of making and go through all this process, to include their unearned income on their return if they meet all of these requirements. So you fill out the form 8814, parents' election to report the interest and dividends. Let's see. Oh, Alt-Min. So Alt-Min, like I said in the videos, was created to prevent high wealthy taxpayers from taking advantage of write-offs. And when it was written, the amounts that were caught for Alt-Min for let's see, what is it? $191,000 for married couples was where it started. And back in the day when it started, that was considered a wealthy individual in the 1960s. Today, for a married couple, that's not necessarily wealthy. It's maybe upper middle class or middle class, depending on what you classify it. So this tax hasn't changed for inflation like a lot of the things have. So this catches a lot more people than it used to. And this is the example of how to walk through calculating the Alt-Min. You've got, and I do that in the example in the video, but look back at this example in the book on calculating the Alt-Min. You pay the greater of the Alt-Min or the regular tax. So if you qualify for Alt-Min. Self-employment tax. We talked about the Schedule C, I think it was back in Chapter 3. So this is how you calculate the tax for self-employment. We talked about the wage base, and you see the wage base goes up each year. It is indexed for inflation each year. And so understand how to calculate that. And there is 2 parts to the Schedule SE. If you look at this, you see Part A, it says short Schedule SE, and Part B says long. And to determine which one you file, you have to follow this flow chart. And so you go through and you answer all these questions, and it tells you if you can use the short form or if you have to use the long form. And that is important because you can only use the short form if you qualify under certain certain qualifications. The nanny tax is for household workers. There's a copy, I think. Yeah, this is the Schedule H that's filed with the 1040 for the person paying the taxes. So the person paying the household worker files this form with their tax return at the end of the year to report wages paid to household employees and how much tax was withheld. And then 2 additional taxes went into effect in 2013, net investment income and additional Medicare. And the net investment income is for those higher income individuals who have interest and dividends and things like that, to pay an additional Medicare tax on those to help fund Medicare. And so this is the form 8960 that you use to calculate it, and you just go through and follow the instructions, and then at the bottom it tells you to include it on your tax return. And then the 0.9 is for high, again, excuse me, high income individuals to impose an additional Medicare tax on wages. The other was on investment income. This is on wages, and this is not matched by the employer. Whereas Medicare tax that's withheld from, that you withhold from your taxes, the normal 1.45 is matched by the employer. This 0.9 is not matched. This is just a tax on the individual. And this is the form, how to calculate it through. And then you end up carrying it forward as well. So that is the high points of the chapter. If you haven't watched the video, I recommend definitely watching the videos. Do you want to look at the tax return really fast with you guys? Any questions so far on anything? And you can type it in chat if you don't want to ask. So your tax return has two questions. The first one is a self-employment tax question, and it tells you he has Schedule C and he has wages. And it has you go through and decide, are you going to use the short or the long form? And wherever there's a box, you need to put a number. Make sure you're doing that. And you do have 7 check my works. Then on the comprehensive problem, what? Sorry, my daughter's in here. What?
Where's me and Daddy going?
Get out of here. I'm in class. Go.
Do you know my wedges?
Go.
I need to get my wedges.
Sorry, guys. If you have kids at home, you understand.
I'll be there in a minute, Daddy.
Okay, so the comprehensive problem. The comprehensive problem is here, and you've got to complete a lot of schedules: 145, A, B, C, H, SE, 89, 59, and 89, 60. It's a lot, I know. Just take it bit by bit. You're familiar with the 1040 already, and you're familiar with the Schedule 1. This is where you put that deductible portion of self-employment tax after you've calculated it from Schedule SE. So you can't complete this one until you completed SE. Well, you can't complete SE until you completed Schedule C. So I think Schedule C would probably be a good place to start with this return, because you've got to get your profit from the business correct so that you can then carry it forward to Schedule 1 and to Schedule SE. And then you'll calculate your self-employment tax and tells you to carry it forward onto Schedule 4. And then Schedule 4, you have your self-employment tax, but then you've also got household employment taxes and taxes from both these two forms. So you've got to complete the Schedule H and the 89, 59, and 89, 60 before you can go farther. So the H is the household employment taxes. So you'll fill out this information and get a number at the bottom. And it tells you to include from line 26 above. The 8959 asks you about your Medicare wages and tips from W-2 and has you go through the calculation to determine if additional Medicare tax is needed to be paid on those wages, because then you've got your self-employment income here. And 8960 for your taxable interest from the front page. State income tax. So just follow it through, and if you have questions, like I said, you've got 7 check my works on this one, and I will go in, make myself a note before I forget, and give you guys some check figures for this return since we're not working on this in class. I'll go in and add those check figures. Let's It'll be right here under this chapter 6, under graded assignments. I'll add some check figures for you to help you along the way, because it is pretty complex to walk through with all these schedules, but it is important that you understand it. Any questions about this chapter? I know I've got a couple emails with questions regarding specific problems, and I am working on getting back to those. So if you emailed me with questions, I will be emailing you back here shortly about those questions that you emailed me about.
Okay, thank you. So we're done, right?
Yeah, if you don't have any questions, I'll stop
Okay.
recording and you guys can
Okay.
get started on the work.